Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be discussing the Grammys. And I know what you're thinking, the Grammys were about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks ago, but I had a lot going on in my life. But I am back here to do this video today. And this is of course if you watched my first video, I said that this was the first video I intended to be on my channel. But of course the Grammys did get pushed back from January until earlier this month in March. And they've happened. And so we have a lot to discuss. We have a lot to get into. So we're gonna just jump right in, and we're gonna talk about these performances. First of all, we're gonna highlight a few of them. We're not gonna hit on all of them. First, Harry Styles took the stage to perform Watermelon Sugar in this like leather looking outfit. He looked phenomenal. He sounded incredible. One thing I did notice about the Grammys, a lot of people were lip syncing, and I guess that's fine because I guess acoustics are different when you don't have an actual crowd, and I don't know, but there were a lot of people lip syncing at the Grammys. If you go back and watch it, it's very clear to see who was and who wasn't. But I could tell it was a recorded track. It just was not live. Like, I think he went into the studio, recorded it, and it just played over his performance, but I don't think it was necessarily live. Nonetheless, it sounded incredible. And it was just one of those moments that just made me realize, like, I am so excited to go to a concert. When it's safe to do so. Once again, I miss going to concerts so much. Next, we're going to move on to DaBaby and Mr. Roddy Ricch. They took the stage to perform Rockstar, and I just did not understand anything about this performance at all. You know, I understand sometimes versions of songs are different at award shows, you know, give a different take and perspective on the song. But it was just weird. Like, I don't remember what instrument it was that was playing underneath his performance, but it was not giving what it was supposed to have gave. And then he had the damn Supreme Court dancers behind him as his background dancers and background singers. I was turned off. I was so confused. I was just appalled at what I was watching. It really wasn't making sense. And I don't think I had ever seen Roddy Ricch's face before. So that was like, wow, you know, like, wow. So, yeah, no, they missed the mark on that for me. But I mean, I really don't like that song to begin with, Rockstar. So, you know, I don't know what I was going in looking for, but I was just watching the show. So I had no expectations. I was just watching the show, and we were gonna get through it that way. The next performance I want to talk about is Silk Sonic, which is Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. They performed their debut single as a collective, Leave the Door Open. That song is just good. It's just so smooth. I think I've been very open on this channel about how I feel about Bruno and how deep my love for him goes. I was very nervous to hear that he was collaborating with Anderson .Paak. Not to say that Anderson is not talented in his own right, but I don't have a lot of his music on my phone. And I do know that Bruno Mars has never made a bad album, so I didn't want him to ruin his streak with this project. But after listening to this song, which I heard for the first time at the Grammys, I'm so excited for their album and to see what's coming from them. And of course, my king Bruno, he's gonna be cohesive and he's never gonna let me down. So I can always count on him for that. And it wouldn't be the Grammys if someone didn't draw a little bit of controversy. And this year we got that in the form of Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion's performance of WAP at the Grammys. Now, Meg took to the stage minutes before to perform Body and Savage, and then Cardi started with Up, and then they performed WAP together. And the performance of WAP grew a lot of controversy online, people saying that it was the most vulgar thing performed in the history of the Grammys. That this is not the image that we should be selling to little girls and X and Y and Z. First of all, the performance aired in like the 9 o'clock hour, and the Grammys were on a Sunday. Everyone was not on spring break the week of the Grammys, so if you really were worried about, you know, your children singing this performance, why were your school-aged children up past 9 o'clock on a school night? But I mean, the song, like, I just don't understand the outrage and the fury. If I was a parent and I shared this view, my kids would have been out of the room. I mean, Cardi B has only put out Up and WAP in the last 7 months. So what did you think she was going to be performing? right? Let's walk it back. Let's think about it because it's not making sense. The math is not mathing. And I think that there have been even more vulgar things performed at the Grammys. And then, I found it very interesting. Dua Lipa came on the stage literally in bra and panties, an hour later, and nobody had anything to say about it. It didn't draw that controversy. And it takes me back to when Nicki Minaj had revealed the cover of Anaconda, and everyone was just outraged by it. I don't know if you guys remember that cover, but people were really outraged by it. And Nicki went and posted, all these pictures of like Sports Illustrated models, Victoria's Secret models, and she was like, these are all acceptable to society, but because you have a black woman, a person of color doing the same thing, then all of a sudden it becomes not acceptable. And I feel like that's the same energy the critics to this performance were giving. And I just want to say that it is no one's job to raise your children. If you are not setting the example for your children that they need, to see and to go forth and be positive people in the world, then you can't look at and blame that on other people in the situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what to tell y'all. Like, y'all just want to be so like fake mad about everything. Like, the song is not even that deep. And I mean, it was the clean edit of the song, I can understand if she was up there like, explicitly, but she got a clean edit. So thank God for Jesus for that. And then finally I want to talk about my good girl, Miss Doja Cat. She performed Say So for what felt like the 1 millionth time, but Doja's gonna give you something new on that song every time. I understand working that single because the Grammys is normally the place where you go to perform like your biggest single from your previous era or whatever. But Streets is having a moment right now, and I think that Doja has so many good songs on the album. I wish she would perform something else. But Doja has hinted that new music is coming up, so this may be the last time you ever see Doja Cat perform Say So, but it was still a really great performance nonetheless. And I thought it was very interesting. She went home without any awards for her era here, and I think that she put out a really cohesive, solid body of work, and to see her leave with nothing was a little disappointing. Now we're gonna get into some of tonight's winners and losers. So Billie Eilish won Record of the Year for Everything I Wanted. She beat Beyonce's Black Parade, Doja Cat's Say So, Rockstar by DaBaby and Roddy Ricch, and Savage by Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce. Now, I think this is the only nomination Meg lost for the night, and I think it's very interesting that it's a Big Four category that she lost, and it's a Big Four category that she was nominated alongside Beyonce, who has only won a Big Four category once, I believe. Song of the Year, Single Ladies? I could be wrong, but I will find out and I will post it here. But in her speech, Billie said that Megan should have won. And those kind of things just like get me outright. Like, girl, have your moment. Like, do not sit here and make this like about me. It gives very much Macklemore when they won Best Rap Album over like Drake and Kendrick and everybody. And, they posted screenshots of the text they sent everybody like, this is really your award, man. Like, okay, well, give it to me. Give me the award since it's mine. But you're not going to do that because, you don't need it. And that's fine that you don't mean it, but just don't make your moment about me and what you... I digress, y'all. I digress. But, we're gonna get to Beyonce in a minute because I got something to say about Beyonce and the Grammys. So, Taylor Swift took home her third Album of the Year Grammy. She made a Grammy record when she won this. Nobody has won Album of the Year that many times. She beat Jhené Aiko, Coldplay, and Post Malone. Now, okay, this is not the best example because the people in this category, I think none of them deserved Album of the Year. How about that? But this is a terrible excuse, but I think that Taylor is so good at giving nothing and then receiving everything for it. It's a little annoying, it's a little frustrating. She's very akin to Miley Cyrus in the sense that she doesn't seem to have a musical identity. She's always like trying to switch something up. Like she went from country to pop, and I was like, girl, what? Like, and then even the pop music was sounding like country, and now she's trying to like, her aesthetic is giving independent artists, and I'm like, but you're not an independent artist. You're literally one of the biggest artists in the world, and you're trying to adopt this persona like you just stripped everything back and taken it back to your roots or something. I'm just not buying it. You know, I saw her performance. I thought that song she performed was, you know, cute or whatever. But otherwise, I was not here for it, you know? But I mean, shout out to her. Congratulations to her. It's always a great thing to see these records being broken, but I just wish the quality was matching the quantity. And that's my problem with Miss Swift, because they don't line up. Song of the Year went to her for I Can't Breathe. She beat Black Parade, The Box, Don't Start Now, among others. I'm really surprised her won, but also I'm not, because her is a Grammy magnet. Like, if her gets nominated for a Grammy, her is walking out of the building with the Grammy. Like, she won Best R&B Album off of a mixtape a few years ago. So the Grammy voters love her. I have not heard the song, but I'm told it's a beautiful song, and it has a beautiful, timely message. Okay, I'm gonna say that thought, because that goes with my Beyonce point later on. So I'm gonna say that, but when I make the Beyonce point, know that it has a connection to this her moment too. So Megan Thee Stallion won Best New Artist. No one is really shocked about that. But I was looking at the list and the nominees, and none of them really seem to be new artists. I think it was like Noah Cyrus, who's been making music for years. Megan's been in the game making commercial music for years. Was Doja nominated for Best New Artist? I can't remember, but there were just people on that list, and I'm like, you've been making music, like you've been in the game, like you're established, like you've had a fan base, you've done well for yourself, and this is not Project One. So the Grammys qualifications for Best New Artist are just so weird. So weird. But out of the nominees, I think that was like one of the awards of the night where I was like, okay, I understand this, of course, like, you know, I didn't think it was gonna go to anybody else, but I do think we need to have a conversation about Best New Artist, so we need to change it to Best New Mainstream Artist, because maybe that's what we're getting at. But then again, some of the people on that list did not really go mainstream. It's out of my hands. So let's talk about a few things though. I want to talk about Summer Walker being shut out of the Grammy nominations completely. I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, Over It came out so long ago. If that would have been the case, it would have been last year. But this is the Grammy Awards that Summer Walker's Over It was eligible to be nominated for. And she was completely shut out. She had, I think Over It had the highest streaming numbers for a female R&B album ever when it opened. It's still charting to this day. It was such a cultural moment. It was such a critical moment. And just to see her not nominated was very disheartening. But I mean, in all, female R&B singers didn't get their due this year at the Grammys, and that made me very sad. They were shut out of the Best R&B Album nominations completely, and it's really such a disservice when you think about the albums that came out. You had Toni Braxton dropped, Brandy dropped, Summer Walker, like I said, dropped. Just so many incredible bodies of work that the women dropped. The women have been carrying this genre for so long, and to see them not reflected in conversations when we're talking about the best is just honestly a disservice, and it's disrespectful. And yeah, you know, like I think that even when you look at people like Rihanna and you look at people like SZA and Mariah Carey's last album, they were all ignored and shut out of the Grammys when, you know, they were the most critically acclaimed projects in the genre of that year. And it's just like, how do you pride yourself on awarding excellence and the best of the best, and then you have selective moments where you just get it wrong. Like there's not getting it right, but they get it wrong at the Grammys and R&B. And even how the categories are named, it upsets me and it pisses me off. But again, it's one of those things, it's like, what can you do? I think it's something that the artists have to speak up for. Obviously I have no pool and no rank out here, but I think that they need to have some conversations about how they're seen in the eyes of the Grammy. And people are always like, well, people don't show up for the NAACP and this, that, and the third. And I don't think that's true. But I do think that there has to be conversations in our own communities about the budgets that we put into these shows and just the accessibility. Like if we're airing these shows on channels that don't get the viewership that a CBS gets, CBS is basic cable, then, it doesn't feel like something that will be celebrated by the masses if you win like an NAACP or a BET. I'm probably gonna catch some flack for that. But that is just the reality of the situation. It sucks, but I'm thinking about how the artists think about it, or I'm trying to at least put myself in their shoes to think about how they're thinking about it. But our good little friend Blue Ivy Carter became the second youngest Grammy winner in Grammy history when she won a Grammy for Best Music Video alongside her mom for Brown Skin Girl. She posted some adorable little pictures, or Beyonce posted pictures rather, of Blue and her Grammy, sipping out of the little Grammy. It was so cute. I'm so happy for little Blue. And let's see, what is that? Okay, so then we have to talk about h.e.r. h.e.r. became the first Black recipient to win Best Dance / Electronic Album at the Grammys, which is really crazy. Black people really pioneered house and dance music from the beginning of time. And even when you look at as far back as like 2010, when Kelly Rowland was really responsible in my eyes, and I wrote about this on my music blog, for reintroducing dance music to mainstream music when Love Takes Over. And so just to know that we've always been ignored and shut out in this category as well is really crazy to me, because many of these genres of music were built off of the contributions of Black musicians. And it's just really sad to see that even now, to this day, Black artists are kind of forced to fit into boxes, into categories. And the categories are hip hop, urban, R&B, things like that. And we're so versatile, and we have our hands, like I said, in all other components and areas of music. But I'm really happy. Hopefully this is a step forward, it's progress, and it gives visibility to the other Black creators in dance and house music. And that reminds me, Justin Bieber was really upset with his nominations because his Changes era was nominated in pop categories versus R&B categories. Let me tell you this, Justin, and this is the thing about it. He had Billboard chart his album as R&B, and I think he did this as a safety precaution in case the album flopped, which it did. He did this as a safety precaution so that if it wouldn't mar his legacy as a pop star. But that album was not R&B, my love. It was not an R&B album in the slightest, okay? And you're even lucky you got the pop nominations when Yummy was your lead single. Now you are who they should have shut out of the Grammys. You. But you need to be very lucky. I don't think he won anything, because no. I mean, I like some of the songs on the album, but the ones I like weren't nominated, so it really made no difference to me. But you promoted all your singles to pop radio, which is something R&B artists don't have the luxury of doing. Like, I remember a few days ago, SZA was begging pop radio to pick up Good Days. And it was the #1 song in the world at a point. Like, it was the most streamed song on Spotify for like a week and a half before that driver's license song came, which is, But it was the most streamed song in the entire world for like 2 weeks. And SZA's over here begging for pop radio to recognize the song and pick it up, even though people of all walks of life and demographics are singing it. It's only being marketed, or people are only thinking that it's hitting with the blacks. But I digress. What I do want to talk about with Beyonce before I go, this will be my final point on the Grammys. I have to say, number one, the fact that Beyonce has never won a Big Four Grammy besides the one I believe she got for Single Ladies. I'm gonna check that again. It's just so, it doesn't even make sense. And then to highlight her in the middle of the ceremony, because she became the woman to win the most Grammys in Grammy history, it's like, it's very backhanded to me. Like, yeah, girl, we gave you the most Grammys, but we don't think that you qualified to win, the big ones. But I do have to say, I'm really glad that Beyonce did not win a Big Four Grammy this year, because again, she was nominated for, well, I'm kind of half glad. She was nominated for Record and Song of the Year, but with Record of the Year, she was nominated twice, with Black Parade and then with the Savage remix. Now, it would have been nice if the Savage remix would have won, even though I think the original Savage is a little more Grammy worthy than the remix. It would have been nice if she would have won for that one. Now, Black Parade, I was really happy that she did not win either of those Big Four awards. And let me tell you why. So, Beyonce has put out things that have changed the industry. Let me tell you this. Beyonce literally is the reason that music releases on Friday instead of Tuesday. She did that with Self-Titled. So she put out Self-Titled. She put out Beat It, which 5 number ones, and she recorded it in what, a month? Maybe less than a month from what I hear. She put out I Am Sasha Fierce, which was just such a big era. She has 2 records on that album that are almost diamond, Halo and Single Ladies. And of course you don't get a diamond record until your song sells 10 million copies in the United States. So she's done all these things to change the game, to be just such a trailblazer for Black people, for women, for just people in the music business, period. And she gets shut out every time. She pioneered the surprise album release, which a lot of your faves try and fail at miserably. She really was the one who started doing these visual albums and really forced a lot of these artists to put budgets back into visuals. And it's just like, if she would have won for this award for Black Parade, I would have been pissed. I would have actually been pissed, because it seems like if we're not talking about our trauma and the plight and the experience of the Black life, then our art is not deemed as valuable and as good, when in reality you have put out the most critically acclaimed projects of the decade, not the year, the decade. When you have broken Twitter, you've broken Instagram, you've crashed iTunes. You have crashed iTunes to the point where you have sold so many records in a day worldwide. And you're doing these things 20, 25 years into your career. And so I just think it would have been a very big slap in the face, because especially Black women, I feel like Black women have to always put themselves in a very vulnerable place in the media to really be heard. And it's like, I appreciate all the things that Beyonce does. She does a lot of things for our community, and I hope that she doesn't feel the need to reflect this and what Black people go through in her art and in her music. To me, that's a safe space. And I think that Beyonce is such a good pop star, and I hope that she does not let, people deter her from being a good pop star, because she's excellent. She's really top tier. If they haven't got it right with, like I said, with Self-Titled, Sasha Fierce, Lemonade, they just aren't gonna get it right. Even in her Destiny's Child days, they were nominated for Big Four awards and didn't win them. And so it's just, I want us to get to a point where, if that is the kind of art that Black people want to put out, cool. But I don't want Black artists to feel obligated to do that, and I don't want our work to be more valid or more well received if that is the art that is being put out, and only that time. And I think the song is great. Her vocals are incredible on it, but they were sure to to award the song a best R&B performance, or like whatever. And so I just don't even understand how these big four categories come together. I think that the big four categories should be determined like the day of the Grammys, and I think it should be a collection of who won like in each genre. Like I think the best R&B, the best country, the best pop, the best rap should all go together at the end of the show, like, as we're going through the show, like, and just seeing how it stacks up instead of just random people sometimes. So that is my thing with Beyonce. And even with her, I don't want, I just don't like it feeling like our trauma is the only time that we're really being hurt, because we have different experiences, and the Black experience is not monolithic. Like we all go through different things, and so hopefully going forward they give her her due, because even with all these awards, she still has not been given the flowers that I think she deserves, and that's all, and that's my thing with it. So I want to thank you guys again for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will be back at some point this month, hopefully. But until then, goodbye.